curse word in Vietnamese language? The worst one.
I grew up smelling it, so I don't know what to compare it to.
This is what made me cry yesterday.
We do not have the gun use like here in America.
Choose your crocodile to eat. And they're all alive there in a container.
Fascinated to see how tall people are over here. I don't know.
No. No, don't say that. Welcome to the American Dream Podcast. I'm here in the studio with a very special guest from Vietnam, Hannah. What is your real name? I always ask my guests that first question because I bet Hannah is Americanized nickname.
Yes, it is. So my real name is Ha, H-A. And so it means water in Vietnamese.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then when I come over here, it was my high school experience. And then my teacher was just like, Hannah, do you want to pick like a nickname so people can, pronounce your name a little bit easier? And I said, Hannah. So it's easier for me to remember because it's that sudden change from being called Ha to Hannah. And that's why I picked Hannah.
I had a similar story when I moved here. My real name is Ekaterina. And for American people, it's very hard to pronounce. So they're like, what do you want us to call you? You get mad every time we say your name wrong. And I just say Katie. So that's why that is my nickname too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited to learn about your story. So let's start with your upbringing in Vietnam. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yes. So I was actually born and raised in Vietnam in a family of 4. I have one younger brother that is 7 years younger than me, and my parents are both teachers. My mom is a high school teacher. She teaches Vietnamese literature, and my dad teaches English. We were pretty poor growing up. We live in a small town in the south side of Vietnam, and it's about 1 hour away from Saigon, our big city of Vietnam. I bet everybody knows about Saigon.
I know Ho Chi Minh.
Yes, it's the same, but Saigon is the older during the wartime, so it's easier for American people to...
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Where I live, our house is only about 900 feet away from the railroad. So I remember when I was little, I always go out alongside the railroad and just have fun with my friends. Since my parents are both teachers, the educational system in Vietnam is that you have to pay for education. You pay for school and everything, even from kindergarten until high school. So being poor, I was very fortunate that my parents prioritize my education, and I always want to share people about my perks of being educated and have a good knowledge around the world and everything.
All right, so when was that moment when you realized you want to move from Vietnam?
So when I was 7 years old, my grandparents and my 2 aunts moved to the U.S. And then that was when I realized, so the world is not that small. And then they tell me about their flights and everything. And I was like, that is a really long flight. So it's a big world out there.
How long is the flight?
I think, let's see here, about 24 hours flight with like
non-stop?
2 layovers.
Oh, 2 layovers.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then so I've always dreamed of going to America, at least just to know what the country is about, the people, the culture. And we made the call during my, when I was in a 9th grader, and it was during January or February. And then my mom and dad was like, Hannah, do you ever thought about study abroad and, learn under the U.S. educational system? They have like the perfect system, And I was like, I was really young too. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dream come true. Yes, I'll go. And that's just when everything is settled, and within 3 months, I got everything ready. And
how old were you at that point?
I was 15 and a half.
Wow.
Yes.
So you were willing to go there by yourself, go here by yourself?
Yes. The reason why I picked here is actually because my grandparents live here too. So I came by myself, but then we picked this specific Springfield, Missouri area because I have my grandparents live here. Yes.
Okay. So you have a little bit of establishment here with your grandparents,
Yes.
a little bit of foundation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What about your So I see you brought your dad here today. Is your
Yes.
mom also here in America at this point?
Not right now. My dad is just visiting me for 2 weeks because he's also a teacher. But my mom is staying at home with my brother because it is a little harder for a whole family to come to the U.S. with visa and immigrant issue. It's just a little harder.
Yeah. Speaking of issues, what were some of the challenges that you have faced as a student visa, immigrant, I guess I should call you that?
So it was just I just don't know where to start. I was like, oh my gosh, now I want to go, but then I have to get the visa. So I know for sure everybody have different steps that they have to go through to get the visa, either whether it's travel visa, student visa, work visa. But for me, it's just more like I pick the state and the city that I want to stay, which is Springfield, Missouri, and then get the paperwork and the requirement ready for the U.S. Embassy. And then the biggest challenge is I have to schedule an interview with them and come in face to face, and they'll ask me questions that they need me to answer. And then they will decide whether I get the visa or not. And that's a little scary for a 15-year-old because I have never been to a place with everything is just so
official.
Yes. And so it was crazy. But other than that, it was just, I do it because I love the adventure of it. And so I don't feel like it's too challenging.
So you landed in America the first time.
Yes.
Do you remember how was it like for you? What did you think of America?
Well, that was actually my first time being on a plane too. So I flew from Vietnam to actually Japan. And then I was like, oh my gosh, the people here are really good. And the same thing.
I'm going to stay in Japan instead.
Yes. But then from Japan, I lay over in Japan. And from Japan to, I think I stopped at Chicago O'Hare Airport.
Oh.
And it was a huge airport. I've never seen that big of an airport before. We have to go through transportation within the airport to get to another gate terminal.
Stressful.
Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was amazed by the architecture building. I was amazed by people just walk really fast because everybody's hustling, busy. They have work to do. And I'm also very fascinated to see how tall people are over here. Well, I'm 5'3", but I'm considered pretty tall in Vietnam.
Oh my God, I would be a skyscraper in Vietnam. I'm 5'8".
I know, yeah. Yours is like a dream height in Vietnam. People like to be high because, we're a little bit like average 5'3" or 5'2". Yeah, so I come over here and I was like, everybody is so tall. And the majority of them is just tall and walk fast, and I love the skin color. I just love everything, Yeah.
Big diversity of people.
Yes.
And then you moved to Springfield. How was that contrast between Chicago and Springfield, Missouri for you?
So still Springfield Airport is smaller, but I also get that, to get to a local airport, you have to, the size of the airports is smaller. Other than that, it's still the same. It's just like, to me, when I want to fly from, when I landed, I have to drive somewhat hours to get back to my house because we don't have that much airport system around. But then over here, you just fly from this state to the other city and you just fly around. And I was like, wow, this is so advanced, And
Springfield is also not very diverse. How long ago did you move here, by the way? You said you were 15, so
that was 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
Yes.
Around the same time I moved here,
too. Oh, wow.
Yes, and I remember that I moved to Bolivar, Missouri, first of all, which is a tiny, tiny town. And people started approaching me in high school and be like, oh, you're from Russia? Say something in Russian. Has anyone approached you like that and was like, oh my God, you're from Vietnam? I have never met anyone from there.
Well, I actually went to school at Greenwood Lab School. Greenwood, they have a very diverse classroom environment too. And actually, I was placed into a world history class, which have students from China, students from Korea.
Foreign exchange students?
Yeah, almost like that, like international student. And so I was put into that classroom so we can all be better at our comprehensive readings and stuff. And so not a lot of people approach me just to ask me to say, here and there, because the student get used to international students. And
yes, absolutely.
so I never have the experience of people will be like, oh, you're from Vietnam. How is it like? How is that like?
Nobody has ever said anything to you like stereotypes about Vietnam or something maybe offensive?
Offensive, I don't think so. Not after COVID, not before COVID. After COVID, I do receive just a little bit of a look sometime, because people are like, oh, rumor, and then they talk with each other and said, oh, maybe she's from China, or like, with that COVID thing. But it's never really that negative. But before that, everything was great. The only stereotype that I get a lot is she's really good at math. Like Asian people are really good at math.
Of course.
And I got asked to like tutor, math tutoring, and they were like, so you know everything, huh? And I'm like, not really.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm surprised no one has ever said to you anything about anime. I feel like that would be the other thing.
Did you get asked about anime a lot?
No, I got asked about vodka.
Oh.
All right, gosh. So you've been here for 7 years. How do you maintain connections with your Vietnamese culture and heritage and family that, still stays in Vietnam?
I called my mom and dad every day. I FaceTime call. I mean, because I moved here when I was 15, so I already got at least somewhat years in Vietnam, and I just stay like that, But I also helped my aunt at her local nail salon before when I first moved over as a receptionist, and so we also have a big community of Vietnamese people in the nail salon, and everybody's speaking Vietnamese. They talk in Vietnamese. They eat Vietnamese food. They bring food to work and eat. And so I feel like that helps me a lot with making me feel like home. It's like a smaller city within a smaller, within a bigger Springfield city,
And small community instead of the big city.
Yes. So right now I am a local business owner, and then we try to keep everything like introduced to other people. So last year, this past February, we did Vietnamese New Year, which is based on the lunar calendar. So it's like instead of January 1st is, everybody's New Year. We celebrated on late January, early February It's also a celebration of the new year, and then we did it in our shop, and so we decorated the shop with red color, which is for lucky, and then in greens and yellows, and then I turn on like New Year music for my clients and everybody to come in, and we cook traditional foods like after work party, and then I give out lucky monies or lucky envelopes for my clients so they know about our culture, and also for our workers to celebrate it so they don't miss home,
I love small business owners that come here to America, foreign specifically. So share a little bit about your small business. What's the name of it? Promote it a little.
Oh, thank you so much. It's me and my husband. We owned Merveilleux Nail Salon, which is right in the corner of Republic Road and National, right by Fleet Feet and Craft Sushi building. We just took over about less than a year ago, and we are younger bosses, and we want to aim for a more family environment, so everybody is like treat each other like family. Even our clients come in and we know them, we say hi to them, they say hi to us, and they feel like home when they come in. And I want to create that environment in our business. And we also offer manicures, pedicures, designs, and we're just getting started.
Is it Vietnamese specific manicure, or is it American style manicure? Or is it different at all?
I don't think there's any difference in it, because most of the time I think the Vietnamese kind of get started on doing manicures and stuff. I know there's a Russian manicure with cares a lot about cuticles and stuff, but we're not that level though. We're more into making your nails longer, put colors on it, more like design, more like that than really the natural care. You know?
So is owning a small business in America your American dream?
So my American dream changes throughout the years.
Okay.
When I first come over, especially when I was in Vietnam, I believe that America is a place that provides people with jobs and a steady life. And that's why I want to come over here, get a degree, get a good job, and have a steady life. But then during my last year of high school, and I believe that the American dream is that I am fortunate to be able to be in this educational system to pursue a good degree for my job. But now, as a business owner, I believe that, you know, with my personal experience and everything, it has, I have the opportunity, America has given me the opportunity to improve my life as well as myself, to become a better citizen for the country. And also, now that I know that I play a role in contributing for the community with my civic engagement and then my local business, you know, And I am now aware of the relationship with people that are around me, and that is more important than anything else.
So let's talk a little more about the American dream. Do you think it still exists here in America for immigrants?
I think it still exists. I personally, I don't have a lot of thoughts into the American dream for other people because, you know, I'm still pretty young in my age, and I haven't really set my foot in thinking about other people's American dream. But I do know that most of the time, immigrants want to come over because they want to improve for a better life. And, you know, America is a developed country, and there's more job opportunities for new immigrants, newcomers, and then, you know, healthcare system is great, insurance is great, and I'm not saying that their country is, you know, but it's just a little more opportunity for people to grow. So you have no regrets that you have moved here to America from Vietnam. Are you planning to go back to Vietnam eventually in your life, or you want to establish your American dream here? So I changed my mind a lot. So when I thought about going back home after I finished my degree. So my degree right now is nothing concerned about business. My degree is about math education.
Oh, of course.
And so I want to go back to Vietnam and help teach the kid to know about math and also like English skill, like, you know, just chatting, communication skill. That's my dream. But now I met my husband, and then, you know, we're married and stuff. And so now I'm like, okay, so we're here. We're just gonna concentrate on our life, our business. Then I feel like maybe when I retire, I'll go back to Vietnam and, you know, teach the kids about the language, the culture. And maybe I'll do like a little small classes at home to teach them about just pronunciation, listening skill. Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit about your husband.
Yes.
So he's an American.
He is a Vietnamese American.
Okay, so he was born here.
He moved here when he was only 2, so I'm not sure if there's a definition between. But he speaks fully
Americanized.
Yes, yes, he eat American food, and he could barely speak any Vietnamese when we first met. So, yes.
So you speak English with him, basically, or do you teach him a little bit of Vietnamese?
I speak English with him most of the time, but of course when I'm mad I could not. I have to speak in Vietnamese.
Yes, of course.
But he is also at the nail salon a lot of the time, and we have like 14 employees, and so they speak in Vietnamese with him, and so his Vietnamese is getting better and better. Wow,
so there is a big Vietnamese community here in Springfield.
There is a very big community here in Springfield.
I never realized that.
Yeah. We even have a Vietnamese Vietnamese mass located at St. Agnes that I go, and they have like a lot, like at least 1,000 or two people.
Wow.
2,000 people.
And how do you like this area, Springfield, Missouri? Is this your like dream area to stay in, or do you want to move somewhere bigger?
I feel like I like settling here. I've been to California, bigger cities such as, LA. I've been to Tampa, Florida. I've been to St. Louis and stuff, but it just feels a little too busy for me. I like Springfield. I like Springfield because it's just more calm. It feels more like home. My hometown in Vietnam too. Everybody seems to know everybody, and then I like the distance that I don't have to make, like 15 miles in 20 minutes, but not like in California. It's like 15 miles, and you have to make it in like 45 minutes. You know? Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give to other immigrants from Vietnam in terms of moving here to America?
Everybody's dream seems to be they dream of America as like skyscraper, like in those movies where like shopping streets and people just walk around safely, like Home Alone, where everybody is like, living big city. But I want to give them advice that have a lower expectation, so that because you also having to adapt your life, and also because of the language barrier, it's more than that. Like, it's a little more stress, but it will be worth it later on. Yeah.
And before we step into a break, what has been your proudest moment in your journey so far?
My proud moment is, I don't know. I'm a pretty secret and private person. I don't take pride in anything in specific. Even with the shop, I feel like I was just fortunate. It's not really, I don't know.
No, don't say that. I feel like you should have a lot of proud moments. You are a successful young small business owner. You speak 2 languages. You came here all alone at the age of 15.
Oh my gosh. I have a lot of help though, so I don't know, but maybe I take a lot of pride in my education though. So I actually graduated Greenwood as a valedictorian with the language barrier and stuff, and I didn't know that I could pull that, but I did. Other than that, so far I still have a lot of work that I need to work on.
And looking ahead, what are some of your plans and aspirations?
My plan is to, I don't think that far ahead because I like that stability in my life and consistency. So I would just wanting to work as hard as I could, and then make sure that my business is a good place for people to come in and relax, and also I need to have a better lifestyle because, working and stuff, it's just a little stressful right now. I hope to find that balance between life and work.
Welcome back. You're listening and watching the American Dream Podcast, and I'm here in the studio with Hannah from Vietnam. Thank you so much for visiting me today. I'm very excited to take this trip back home. Your home, not my home. I'm from Russia. And before we start, I have to confess something to you. Yesterday, before this interview, I was watching a traveler show about Vietnam, and I watched something very scary, and it made me almost cry. It was very sad.
What was that about?
I will mention exactly what I saw later as we get to that point. Stay tuned. I know we're starting very optimistic, but I'm excited to find out if what I saw was true. So let's start with a simple question.
Yes.
What makes Vietnam a unique destination for travelers to visit?
I cannot be so biased about my country, but we have the coastal line all along the country, and we have several beautiful beaches like Da Nang.
Beaches.
Yes, we are known for at least 2 or 3 best beaches around the area, and we have there's a difference in the currency, especially if you're from the U.S. The currency is much larger than our currency system, and so it makes Vietnam a cheap destination for you to come travel. It's also known for a unique food experience. like Gordon Ramsay, if you have watched that video ever, it's about his experience in Vietnam. And he was on this small canoe eating on a floating market on the river early in the morning with like soup and noodles. And, you know, I'm very proud of our cuisine. And also, there are several hike and bike trails for the natural lover and the adventure lover. Also, I feel like the people are just extremely friendly. Yeah.
So you mentioned about budget. Let's start from that.
Yes.
How much money does it cost to go to Vietnam for, let's say, 2 Americans?
So I would say it is just varies between the season. Like if you come to Vietnam around the summertime, it used to be $1,300 for a 28-hour flight. But then now with the inflation and stuff, the regular flight that you would expect to go back to Vietnam is about $1,800. But you would fly from here to a bigger airport.
Is it for one person or two?
$1,800 for just one person.
Oh, okay.
A round trip.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you go around, let's see, if you go around September, November, you can find it for $1,300 too. Yeah.
Why are those months the cheapest ones? Is it because it's hot, or is it like cold, or the weather is bad?
I just feel like it's summertime and people travel more. Even while September and November, kids go back to school and there's not a lot of travelers, and so it's cheaper, so people could, you know, encourage people to go on that month instead of just squeeze everybody in those summer months, you know.
Absolutely. And the flight, you said, is 28 hours.
Yes.
And it is round trip. So what about food? You mentioned a little bit about that too. How expensive is food in Vietnam?
Okay. I'm so excited when I talk about food. So food, you can spend less than $20 a day for food.
A day?
Yes, but like I'm talking about full-on meal, not just fast food. You're talking about like big bowl of pho, big bowl of noodles, wonton soup, and it's $20 is like a good kind of food. And then I don't know if you ever watched Sunny and his experience. He's a food blogger and travelers, and so he would do like $100 a day challenge on food, and every time he do it in Vietnam, he could barely make it. Yeah, he could hit like $40, and he's already full with so much food that he was eating. Yeah.
Speaking of food, this is what made me cry yesterday. When I watched that traveler show, they went to Ho Chi Minh. And there was a restaurant that serves crocodiles, little crocodiles. And on that traveler show, they were like, choose your crocodile to eat. And they're all alive there in a container. And so, I mean, obviously for the show, and since he's there at the restaurant, he had to choose a crocodile, and they're like, okay, we'll prepare it for. So that was just hard. I understand that crocodile, just like, you know, chicken, just like any other animal, you know, since it's part of the cuisine, it has to die for people to eat it. But it was just so sad, and I wanted to double check with you if that is true, if you guys do like eat crocodiles, and if it was just not for the show purposes in a way.
So we were still a developing country, and so we grow up, we eat everything. Like, you know, if you talk about chicken, we eat the gizzard, we eat everything we could, and so we make use of that. And also, it's a eating crocodile. I'm not trying to normalize it, but I never grow up eating crocodile, but I know there's region or places in Vietnam that people eat them. But I'm sorry that you saw that video, and I'm sorry that I have to tell you that it might be true, but they're aiming for a more unique experience for people, and so they're trying to find maybe they were trying to find a rare restaurant that serve bizarre food, but that's not a common thing for Vietnamese people. We're mostly just chicken, meat, beef and pork.
It was probably
fish.
for the show purposes, for, you know, TV, for people to be like me, you know, to get affected by that later and think about that. But let's talk about normal food and food to try in Vietnam. What to eat? What is the traditional dish?
So I would suggest try fresh coconut water. we are known for such good island with good coconut water, and it's fresh from the tree. So you, not the crocodile, but you can pick your coconut and they'll cut, split it in half, and you get to get the coconut juice, and you also get to eat what's inside the coconut.
Interesting.
And also we should as traveler, I also suggest bánh xèo. It's like Vietnamese crispy pancake. So they will put in a thin layer on a very sizzling hot pan, a thin layer of the mixture of powder. And then while waiting for it to get crispy, people would put bean sprouts, shrimp, and more like vegetable. And then when it's finished, they'll fold it in half, and you'll eat it, and you roll it with herbs and big lettuce wrap, and then you dip it in our specialty fish sauce. Yes. And so I think that's a good traditional food that everybody should try. Other than that, I also suggest sugarcane. Sugarcane is so it's like about 2 centimeter in diameter, thick of a cylinder. So that's sugarcane, and then they will squeeze it right in front of you for you, and then the juice is just so sweet, and you mix it with, for the hot days in Vietnam, it's just a good refreshing water for you.
Interesting. Is that true that people in Vietnam also love durian fruits?
Oh, durian, yes, but it's an acquired taste. So me and my dad, we don't like durian. But my mom and my brother, on the opposite, they love durian.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That durian is like cilantro. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Yes.
And I don't know, it depends on like your genes, your like DNA.
So durian has this texture. It's that soft texture, and the smell and the color. It reminds you of something that you don't want to. When you take the first bite, and it depends on the durian. If it's get picked too early, it'll get a little bitter. So that first bite will be too bitter for you. But then the smell is also, some people said it smells like propane. And I think
very appetizing. Mouth drooling.
Yes, I think that the smell kind of give it away too.
Some people say that it tastes like rotten onions.
I mean, I grew up smelling it, so I don't know what to compare it to,
Yes. All right, so let's talk about must-visit attractions or landmarks in Vietnam. Where should a tourist land when they just, want to see all Vietnam?
Even though Vietnam is known for Hạ Long Bay, it is which is recognized by UNESCO for its aesthetic with limestone caves, topped by rainforest and emerald green water, and a series of caves. But when people think of Vietnam, we don't talk about Hạ Long Bay anymore because it's a little overhyping, I think you should visit Da Nang, as it's right in the middle of the country. It is known for beautiful sandy beaches with crystal clear water, and at the same time, it is one of the most developed city within the region. So it is a combination of modern and tradition. So in Da Nang, you can also visit the walking district. It's called Hoi An, and that is the more like ancient architects that you come in, and it's just old ancient house, and then they'll try to sell handmade traditional fan lanterns and stuff like that. And then at nighttime, they will have street food around that whole walking district for you to experience the tradition of street food vendor. Also, you can also go to Da Nang. Also have Bana Hills, which is you will get up to the hill of the mountain by cable cars. It's one of the longest cable car ride in Vietnam. It's like at least 15 minutes just ride onto the top of a mountain. And up there you will have like this huge amusement park, like almost like a small version of Disneyland, and then the kids can ride roller coaster. It's more for a family activities, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about some lesser known destinations, little hidden gems of Vietnam?
Hidden gems, I would say, let's see here. Hidden gems, I would say there's this one specific place that I really love. It's called Trang An, and it's from Ninh Binh. It's also the north of Vietnam. But this place it's like a small Hạ Long Bay version. It's also covered around with limestone caves, and then when you get there, you can use the kayak. You can experience the kayak, and then there will be people that show you around on the body of water. I think about 2 kilometers on water. So you can see the scenery and the clear water, and they will make some stop for you to see the pagodas, the temples, just that very simple, pretty nature of Vietnam. And this place is actually a place that is filmed King Kong School Island.
Wow.
Yes. So it's not it's still not as popular since the movie, but I think in the future it will be more popular. So, you know, we should go there before it gets
everyone else finds out this video.
Yes.
What about some interesting activities or traditions to witness while in Vietnam? Is there a specific time of year that would be interesting for tourists to go and witness things?
So the most interesting time for people to come is during the Lunar New Year. Like I mentioned, it's like Christmas, but for New Year in Vietnam. So everybody have 2 weeks breaks. 2 weeks break. The kids get out of school, people get off work, and then that's when they celebrate the New Year with lion dance, music, cleaning house, get everybody ready for a family to come over, and then they have like just street of flowers and pretty flowers, New Year flowers, everything, and people would walk out on the street and just very welcoming if you want to experience that time. And also closer to, I think the specific day is September 17th of this year, there will be a mid-fall festival. So it's like a Halloween version of America, but instead of ghosts and stuff, we celebrate for the moon, for the kids just walking around in lantern, walking around the neighborhood asking for candies. And that's also a very... And then we have the moon pie around the area too for the time. Moon pie is like it's round shaped like the moon, and the filling is either beans or mixed nuts, but yeah, it's just good food too.
So not like the American moon pies that is sold, different one.
Yes.
So you mentioned a little bit about how welcoming Vietnamese people are. How do they treat tourists? Do they speak English in Vietnam?
People in Vietnam, especially if you go to a place that have a lot of tourists, travelers,
Touristy.
They have that basic English communication skill. If you go to Ben Thanh Market, which is in Ho Chi Minh City, and where they have the biggest market in Vietnam right now, I think the people will communicate with you in broken English, at least. So it will not trouble you that much. And also, if you go on food tour, eating experience, and restaurant, they will have a staff or 2 that is ready to speak English with you. Their English might not be perfect, but they will understand and they'll translate it back to the owner. Like, they'll be the translator between the owner and you to make sure that you get the right food, you get the right things that you want.
But if someone wants to learn a little bit of Vietnamese right now as they're listening and watching this podcast, what is the sentence you would recommend everyone to know before they go to Vietnam?
So, you know, when you go to Vietnam, there's so many new things that you want to buy as food souvenir and stuff. I think you should learn how to say, how much is this?
That's a good sentence to learn.
Yeah, it's just this easy. Cái này bao nhiêu?
Can I bang you?
Cái này bao nhiêu?
Bao nhiêu.
Yes.
Okay. Can I bao you? Can I bao you?
Yes.
It's a very hard Asian languages are very hard to pronounce. With my dialect anyway, I speak Russian. So like for me, languages like maybe Spanish or sometimes German are easier to pronounce with more like, hard dialect.
Yes.
But Asian dialect is very different.
Yes, it is a little different. But yeah, I think it's good that if you know that if you said if you know how to use that sentence, people will think like, oh, they have lived in America, they have lived here, they know how to speak Vietnamese, and so at least you won't have to pay for something that's way overpriced. And please do bargain in Vietnam. Bargain.
Okay. And I know your dad is here, so you probably wouldn't want to tell me, but just for our listeners, because I know everyone is like, how do I say this curse word in a different language so I can use it, while speaking to my friends?
Yes.
A curse word in Vietnamese language, the worst one.
The worst one. Oh my gosh. I don't think so. I don't think so.
You can't say it?
Well, I can, but
Okay, not as bad. The second one down.
So a lot of the word that people know a lot about, the curse word in Vietnam is dome.
Dome? Dome?
Yeah, it just kind of mean like, damn it. A little bit like that.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It is in Vietnam.
But usually when the Vietnamese people say it, they have that accent, like the real dome. So it sounds
more scary.
Angry. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Dome. I like that.
Yes.
It's actually easier to pronounce than the can I bow you or may I bow you.
Cái này bao nhiêu?
Can I bow you?
Yes.
All right. So, any advices you would give to someone who is traveling to Vietnam for the first time? First time traveler.
For the first time traveler. I think so cash is a big thing. We still use a lot of cash in Vietnam, so make sure you have the cash around and don't have a lot of them that they can see it, because if they see you have a lot of cash, they will overcharge you because they think that, because of the different currency, you would think that, buying this meal for $5 is cheap, but it's actually $5 is a lot of money in Vietnam. So even though, you're just like, it's only $5. So make sure you have a lot of cash, and especially $1 bills, $2 bills, or go to the bank and get the exchange rate that is good for you. We also have a lot of temples, pagodas, because our dominant religion is Buddhism. So make sure if you want to, I know for sure you people will tell you, go to this pagoda, go to this temple. Just make sure that you have like a short sleeve. Try not to wear tanks or dress a little more appropriate, because people can be a little judgy when you go to that more like a sacred place. And the last but not least, but the most important thing is please bargain. Like I said, because of different currency, you will not think that expensive, but bargain at least half the price down. And then work from there up. Any
other etiquette advices that you can get to first-time travelers in Vietnam? You said about clothes when you go to a temple.
Yes.
Anything else? Anything not to say in Vietnam? How do you approach Vietnamese person? What not to get offended by?
We're very friendly people. The moment that you come to us and ask for help, we know for sure that you are really lost or you don't know things. So just feel free to come, but approach a younger kind of person so it's easier for us to communicate with you. And other than that, you will not, with the language barrier, you will not offend us, or we won't feel like we're obligated to help you at all. Just come to us and ask if you need to.
Okay. And how safe is Vietnam?
So we do not have the gun use like here in America. So that's that. So that's safer. I feel like Vietnam is pretty safe, especially if you're gonna stay in bigger city, because it's a tourist attraction. We would have that what's called like the public view where everybody is out. So you'll be very safe unless there might be like pocket thieves, but just like there's some places that also known for pocket thieves. So if you could have like a fanny bag that's across your right in front of your chest, it's easier for you to take care of your stuff. But talking about violence and stuff, I don't think people would come and approach you or do any harm to people, especially the foreigners, because our country, we want it to be a friendly and also welcoming place for people and friends from around the world to come. Yeah.
Where is it best to stay while in Vietnam? Like Airbnb, hotel, hostel. What is the better option?
So my friend just went back to Vietnam 2 or 3 months ago, and she tried to Airbnb a place, and she said it was really horrible because of, you know, how people over here, Airbnb is the middle person to kind of communicate between the renters and the one that want to rent. But in Vietnam, they just don't care. Maybe they talked on Airbnb chatting and said this and that, but she said she turned out to have only one room, or even sometimes the renter don't even show up to your Airbnb, or you cannot get into the house. So the safest place is just get there. They will not get booked completely. So we have so many hotels in Vietnam. So get there, pick a hotel you like, just walk in and ask them about their availabilities. Don't do anything online because we're not that advanced online. Everything is so online and social yet, and so it's harder. We can't guarantee that everything is gonna be safe online for you.
And what about transportation in Vietnam?
Transportation, there's a lot of buses around. We have a lot of taxi. We do have Uber and Grab. Okay. So Grab is another kind of Uber, and then you can just Uber around town. Everything is very easily accessible, and walking is also very friendly too. So you can walk around to sightseeing, or you can also experience the moped, which is our like a little faster version of a scooter, and you can drive around with that.
Kind of like in Thailand.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are fun. And before we step into another break, what is something like a souvenir that everyone should bring back with them after their travel is over in Vietnam?
Souvenir. I think people in Vietnam, people from foreigners that go to Vietnam, they would love to bring back the traditional hat, which is like almost like a cone, the cone shape, but it's like a traditional hat that we wear so we won't get the sun hit our face.
To protect from the sunlight.
Yes. And then a lot of handcrafts things, like handmade statue of the place, clay potteries that made out, that have the name of that place on it. Yeah.
Welcome back. You're listening and watching the American Dream podcast. This half of the podcast, I always recommend our listeners to turn off their Spotify and go on YouTube and check us out on YouTube, the American Dream podcast. You can just look that up and you can see all the beautiful items we're about to discuss with my foreign guest from Vietnam, Hannah. So, what is the first item you want to discuss? I feel like we haven't talked about rice at all. And I'm honestly surprised because to me, Vietnam always associated with rice.
Yes, we are always associated with rice. And when I come over here, I was amazed to see when people eat only bread, noodles, lasagna, spaghetti, pizza,
hot dogs,
and everything. And then when I come over here, and I was like, I want rice. I really want rice. And I told my mom. I asked my mom what kind of brand of a rice cooker she get, and I got one over here for a little more expensive of a price tag, but they are a good kind of rice cooker. So I took a picture of this, and it is from Tiger, the brand, and it's very simple. You know how we always like people over here microwave the rice? Here we really have like put rice in the pot. We clean the rice a little bit, and then there's only that one button. And then whenever the rice finished cooking, it'll turn, the button will push up, and it said keep warm. And so you can keep your rice warm in like a day or two.
It's a very pretty rice cooker. It has flowers on it. I love that.
I've tried so many other rice cooker, but this is the only one I stick to. There's a smaller one. So this is for like a family of 5.
Okay.
There's a smaller one, but I just don't feel like the rice is cooked that good.
And what kind of rice are we talking about? Is it like a sticky sushi rice? Is it white rice, brown rice? What is the good rice to eat?
We, as a Vietnamese, we eat white rice most of the time.
Okay.
But we use, let's see, jasmine. Jasmine is the most common, but it said jasmine rice from Thailand, but we also share the same kind of, almost the same culture. So we eat the jasmine rice because it is not so sticky, but the grain is whiter. And then it's also give you that not so dry feeling in your mouth. Yeah.
And how do Vietnamese people eat rice? Just as is or with something?
So we eat rice. We can eat it with soy sauce even. So back in the old day, we eat it with soy sauce because, poorer. But then now, we would cook like braised pork belly or like more like a protein kind of food, and then stir fry, and then we mix it. We eat it with rice. So we would have a bowl of rice in our hand, and the rest, like the main course, is on the table, and then we'll just share a little bit, and then we have our own bowl of rice. Is the only thing that we have in our hand. Yeah,
awesome. I always wanted to try jasmine rice. I love jasmine tea, green tea. It's the best one. But jasmine rice, where do you buy jasmine rice in Springfield, by the way?
So there's so many places, but the place that I find it cheap and a more reasonable price is Costco.
I started talking about rice, my stomach started growling.
Same here. It's Costco. Costco have like about this big of a bag for like 25 pounds, I think, but for a very reasonable price.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, Costco sponsor me. All right. So what is the second item we want to discuss?
So the second item is, it might be funny, but then the second item is a broom.
Okay.
So this is a specific kind. So this is from, this is a softer kind of broom. So we use it at our nail salon all the time, and I would have at least 2 or 3 people per day asking me, what kind of broom do you guys use? Where do you get it from? And I'm like, it's a regular. She was like, I've never seen something that worked that well, because this is more like feather feel, and it's they said it's made. I don't want to guess it, but it's, so you can bend it several ways, so it's easier for you to, if you have small things like dust. So we don't have vacuum in Vietnam, so we use this because it takes every single dust.
There is no
particles.
vacuums in Vietnam?
I don't grow up using one.
You just blew my mind. For some reason, this information just blew my... Not even the crocodile anymore. It's the vacuums.
Yes.
It looks like it's made out of hair.
It's a kind of like grass or something like that, because when you first use it, there will be a little small particles that come out from the broom because of the grass is like almost shedding a little bit. But then the more you use it, the better it gets.
So it's like a duster, but for floors.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we mentioned rice cooker, the duster, the broom,
Yes.
and what is the third and last item?
So the last item is Vietnamese hot sauce.
Chin Su.
Yes, Chin Su is the brand. Chin Su sponsor me?
Yeah.
No. So people know about our sriracha. Everybody use sriracha, and then there's actually Vietnamese word on it.
Wait,
So
sriracha is Vietnamese sauce?
I think Vietnamese and Chinese. I think the guy that made it is like half Vietnamese, half Chinese. I don't want to just say it, but there's Vietnamese word on sriracha.
Wow.
And so, but when I come over here, I eat sriracha, and I was like, this is sour. And so Chin Su is the hot sauce that we use every single Vietnamese people use it. They eat it and mix it with just rice. So it's like a new kind of soy sauce.
What?
It has a sweeter taste to it. So if we eat like meat, we'll dip it in this chinsu sauce, or it pair really good with fried food. If you fry something like catfish and stuff, this will add a taste on it. And then I even put it in my Vietnamese sandwich and stuff, and it gives coloring to my food too. So if I need to make like beef stew, I threw some sriracha. Oh, not sriracha, chinsu on it, and give it. It's like when American people use peppers to make the color. I use this to make the color.
So is it hot?
It is hot for other people, but I've been so used to it.
Grew up on this,
I couldn't taste the.
You adjusted. You should go on hot ones.
They have the extra hot one, but then that extra hot one tastes like sriracha, and so I stick to this original chinsu.
Wow, I've learned quite a bit about Vietnam today. Thank you so much for visiting me, Hannah. Give us a follow on our socials at Podcast TAD, and until next time, stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the American Dream Podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on your favorite platform. Keep dreaming, and see you next time.